G'day everybody, how are you going today? I had actually already recorded my video today. It's about the Sony A7S III Rumours, but here we are. It has broken. The Nikon Z5 is released. Rumours correct. Everything in the rumours was correct, and the big headline statement that is probably going to set the internet, especially YouTube, on fire: 2 card slots. Let's talk about the Nikon Z5 and what it means to the Z6. Far out. It's pretty much a Z6, give or take a few minor things. Well everybody, exciting news. If you're interested in a Nikon Z mirrorless, if you're currently in an F-mount body, perhaps a D610, a D600, a D750, a D800 even, D800, D810, D800E, you might be in any or all of these bodies and you've been thinking about moving to the Z system. You might even be an Olympus user, not sure where to go next. You could be a Fuji user who just likes buying lots of cameras and you thought you might give the Nikon full frame mirrorless a go. Well, Nikon today has made it very, very easy for you to have a play and have some fun and get into the Z mount system. The Nikon Z5, there it is, right there in all its glory. Now, there's lots of things to talk about. It is a lot like the Z6. It has so many of the positives of the Z6. This camera is the exact size and weight of the Z6. That means the ergonomics are similar. Let's talk about the spec. It's a 24 megapixel sensor. It's not a BSI like the Z6, it's a CMOS sensor. That's not necessarily a bad thing at that sort of resolution. It does shoot 4K, but it's got a 1.7 crop. Not sure why that is, probably so the Z6 still has a place in the world. I can't imagine it's because they couldn't do it, it's because they chose not to do it. And I'm fine with that, because you can still shoot with a 1.7 crop. For example, if you have the 20mm lens on there, that's something like, I think, 34 mils. Let me know if I'm wrong. Usable at a pinch if you want to, if it's important. Let's be real, the majority of photographers are not vloggers. So I could have a Z5 on here right now, put my 35mm lens on there, and it equates roughly to a 50mm lens. I may well get a Z5 for that very purpose. But the headline, the absolutely deal-breaking, the big news, the thing that's going to set the world on fire, and look, it's good news for those who care, and it's good news for from a marketing perspective, and it's good news from a trolling perspective, but I'm sure there'll still be a few Molotov cocktails launched just for the hell of it, and that of course is the 2 SD card slots. They're fast ones, good, but there's 2 of them, amazing. So what's interesting to me is this Nikon has actually said in their press release this would absolutely be the entry level full frame mirrorless 35mm camera for them, yet they've put 2 slots in it. So I suspect that means 2 slots for everything Z5 and above. So that's got to be good news for anyone who's thinking about moving over to the Z system. And they also stated very clearly in their press release, it's 2 slots because of user feedback. That's what they've stated. Now, it's SD, not XQD, and on my list of upcoming films, you know how you might go onto a work site or an oil rig or something like that, and they'll have 742 days without incident. Well, I'm thinking of starting a video series that I do once a quarter, and that is, 500 days on XQD, 1 slot without incident. Now, I've had my Z7 for about that long. That film is coming up, and I look forward to having that discussion around 1 slot, 2 slot, XQD versus SD. But the point being, the Z5 has 2 slots. Old school slots. This is how it is. Be very interesting to see what the Z6S and Z7S have. I still think it's probably most likely to be one CF Express / XQD and one SD. We will see. Back to the Z5. Of course, a killer and really important to get people excited at this price point is to have in-body stabilization. It has the same in-body stabilization as the Z6 and the Z7. It also has the same toughness and weather sealing and dust sealing as both of those cameras, of which to date, in 1.5 years of usage, I've had no problems with that side of the camera. So that's fantastic. In regard to video, as I said, there's a 1.7 crop in 4K. You can shoot full frame in 1080. They're doing no high-speed functions, so there's no 120 FPS anywhere. Nothing high-speed at all. So this camera is not aimed squarely at content creators, but I would argue that at its price point, which is $13.99 US, but I think the level of technology that you are getting and the quality of output that you will be able to achieve, which I would say would be very similar to the Z6 and the Z7, which is what you're looking at right now, for the money, astounding. Then with the kit lens, which is the 24 to 50 zoom lens, which Nikon are stating is the smallest zoom lens when retracted of its type in the world right now. So you're going to have a very compact, very lightweight system that you can use anywhere, anytime. Now, if you watch this video here, the reason I bought the original Sony A7R back in 2013 was exactly for that reason. I wanted a high quality detachable lens camera that could slip into a coat pocket. This sounds like it's going to be that sort of camera. The Z50 is, with its little compact, almost pancake zoom on the front. I think the Z50 and the Z5, interesting, they both got the Z5 in them, they're going to be very similar cameras from a size and weight. Obviously the Z50 is a little bit smaller, but I don't think there'll be much in it. With that compact zoom, it's going to be $16.99 US. Someone like me probably, maybe might not bother with it. I might just get the body alone. Another really exciting aspect of this camera is the rumored, and yes, it has arrived, it's announced, it's formalized. The new battery means that you can charge the battery whilst the camera is running. That's fantastic. Plus, it has an increased capacity, this battery, and I presume that both of those capabilities will flow over to the Z6 and the Z7. We will see. Perhaps it requires a firmware update, but having that new battery is really exciting, and to be able to charge whilst on is really exciting, and to just have a bit more capacity is really exciting. So the Z5. The Z5 is so much of what the Z6 is. Of course, the Z6 can be firmware updated to, well, off-site firmware updated. You've got to go back to Nikon to do raw video to the external Atomos recorder, and it doesn't have 4K crop, and it has a different sensor. One other point that's changed, there's a screen on the top of the Z6 and the Z7, which is now gone, and your mode dial is up there to choose between aperture priority, shutter priority, manual, and all that stuff has been moved to where that screen is, and there's nothing on the other side. Now, personally, I do glance at that screen sometimes, but it's not essential for me, so the loss of that is neither here nor there. I think the Z5, if you have any interest in full frame mirrorless, any interest in Nikon, any interest in playing in this area, of course you can F to Z all your F glass. I just think this is super exciting for Nikon users who just want to have a play in the Z space. Absolutely fantastic. And as I said, perhaps people from Olympus or Fuji who want to have a play, you're used to mirrorless, you like mirrorless, you're interested in all the talk about how good the Z primes are, the affordable Z primes, let alone the zooms being great as well. This camera gets you in super affordably, and you can do great stuff. Like, it's just a great camera to start with. Now, my only downside is, and perhaps Nikon will pretty much almost never do this, and maybe it's a copy, maybe it's a patent thing, I just don't know, but a flip out screen. They've done it on the Z50. They clearly just don't see it as a big market for them. I kind of understand. Maybe where they sit is if you're at, say, my level, well, you'll just go ahead and get an external screen that you can put on top in the hot shoe, and that's how you'll do it. Or, in my case, I'm so confident with the face detect on the Z mirrorless cameras that you just get the settings right and you film and it's done and it works. You don't have to see. And when it comes to framing, well, I'm very comfortable framing just by looking at where the lens is in relation to me. And I know where I'm framed. So maybe that's what Nikon thinks. I'm not sure, but that's the only thing I'd like to see them do. Otherwise, I think this is a fantastic system. So let's just talk about the most exciting parts. Firstly, a new battery you can charge as you go, 2 card slots. Well, of course, that's going to make a lot of people out there in the world happy. Other than that, this is very much a Z6 camera. Very similar with a few minor differences. First one being cropped 4K, which I think you can work around in most cases and might actually be useful for some people if you're wanting to shoot sports. It's basically a crop mode. Fantastic. The EVF is supposed to be the same, and the sensor is different. So it'll be interesting to see the fact that it's a CMOS sensor, how that will affect things. Might not affect them at all. Interesting to see. This sensor might not be made by Sony either, or it might be a really old Sony chip to save them some money. And we can see here in this image that we have both USB-C and HDMI mini. They are the ports that we want to see in this type of camera. And perhaps one other negative that some people might have is the 4.5 frames per second when shooting stills. Another super combo that they're doing with this camera, which makes me think I should cancel my order and just buy the camera with the lens, because I think it'll be significantly cheaper. Or around the same. It's hard to tell. Is they're doing the 24-200, which is shipping, but there aren't many around. Perhaps they're all going into these combo kits. The 24-200 is shipping with the Z5 for $21.99 US. I think that's awesome. That's a great kit. That is like a great travel kit, a great family kit, full frame. What we're hearing is the quality of that lens is fabulous. Ricky Talks has gone through it. He's shown us that it's a great lens considering its reach and the price that you pay. There is a lot to like about this camera. It's basically a Z6 with a few things pulled out of it, largely things pulled out of it for people who don't need it. So it's all about your use case. The reality is I probably could have got a Z5 instead of a Z6 because I originally got the Z6 to be a studio camera to do exactly what we're doing right now. And the Z5 will be able to do that as well. It'll do 4K cropped, but I can work around that crop with the appropriate lens. And I've got many F lenses and I've got quite a few Z lenses at this point in time. The Z5, it's an amazing announcement. I would love to know what you think. Is this time for you to jump in? If perhaps you're a Z6 owner and you want a second body, might you go for it? Or a Z7 owner and get a second body, or even a third body. Who knows? Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about the specs. I'd love to hear it. Won't we love if we can use the new C variant of the battery in our Z6 and Z7 so we can have internal charging whilst on? I hope that's possible. All right. If this is your first time here, it is so lovely to meet you and I'd love to see you again. So please subscribe, please share, please like, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. And that is the Z5. Just cop a look at that.